Grave Reviews, this is Chris.
Have you trapped the children?
There's no children here. It's not safe for them.
This is Alan, and Chris is right. Grave Reviews isn't.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone is doing very well tonight. This is Alan with Grave Reviews, and sitting here with me is my co-host and good friend, the master of ceremonies, if you will, Chris. How are you this evening, my friend?
I'm fine. Everything's fine, Alan. Just fine.
You lying sack of crap. It's really funny. My wife and I talk about this all the time. She's like, "Fine is never good enough." I said, "Yeah, until you say it, and
Right.
and then everything's great.
Then it's all fine.
And it's all fine."
It wasn't a late start. This is why sometimes it's late, sometimes it's early. It says initializing. Like this time, it was like, go.
Yeah, it was, and for whatever reason, like halfway through the intro on our end, it just froze. So we didn't know
Yeah,
if the
it was
intro was
done.
playing or not. God bless it.
Love
It is what it
technology.
is.
It's great.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I will say this though, had a great time watching this movie. It brought me back in time. It was every bit as corny and scary as I remembered it. So for that, I'd like to say to everybody, wow, I'm so glad that we got to do this. That we are in our what do we call King-Tober or
King-Tember.
King-Tember. So
King-Tember.
I'm loving it. I really am loving it.
It's a good
So
start.
yeah, very good start. So how was your week, Chris? Anything anything you'd like to share with us?
It's been a week. It's been a week. Up talking about planning to go to a vampire museum with
Ooh,
the fam. Hopefully in the I think 2 weeks. It's like they have like the tools that they had back in the early 1600s, 1700s. The kits, the Van Helsing type kits. So
ah.
I'm curious what we're gonna see there. It's not too far from us, so we're gonna make a overnight trip down to it's down south. So
I think that sounds awesome. That sounds like that would be very fun, very interesting, and something that you could do, and maybe while you're there, take some pictures, and we can try to share them
absolutely, will
share them
do.
with
We'll put
everybody.
something together. LG has put in the chat the link to the place we were going. So
Nice,
click on it,
thank
take a
you.
look. It looks something neat to do, man. Just enjoy life. And even if it's the scary, weird stuff, going to an oddity shop and seeing stuff in jars, and
I
hey,
I'm
man,
happy. I'm happy with that. That would be something I would love to do. My wife would want to yell at me for for dragging her there, but I would definitely love to see that. That would be so cool.
yeah.
So I'm going to raise my glass now to everyone who's currently in the chat room and say to you, clankety clank, you motherfuckers. We're glad you're here. We love you and we appreciate you very much. Good to you. Good
So
to you. Absolutely. So The Mist.
the mist.
Um, if you happen to be on our last show when we were kind of talking about this movie, we had made the recommendation, if you could, to either find it in black and white, which is kind of hard to do. You have to buy the physical copy to do that, or adjust your TV to watch it in black and white. And I
Mhm.
happen to know that Darren, who's in our chat room tonight, this is true. You know what? That would be cool if it was,
That'd
though.
be
Even if,
wild.
yeah, that would
That'd
be
be
very
wild.
cool. Someone, my wife just put in the chat room that if it was in a castle, she would go. And I just thought in my head, I said, could you imagine if they did up a spooky castle with all the cobwebs and stuff,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
talked about vampire stuff? Oh, that would be great.
That's fun.
Uh,
Sign me up.
and it's yeah, definitely sign me up. So Darren contacted me through our channels. Where would they our people find a way to contact us, Chris?
You could go to bio.link/graverev. There you will find links to all of our socials, the Facebooks, the Instas, the TikToks, the email where you can reach us. You can send us
Yes.
an email. All of the things you would like to say to us, send in the email. All of the things you want to interact with us are very interactive on our socials. You can even go to our merch store put out by TeePublic. Some great designs on there. all by going to bio.link/graverev.
Yes, and so our one of our members of the Talking Dead, Darren, used that bio link dot, and and he went out to um, uh, he watched this movie and he adjusted his TV so that he could watch it in black and white. And I'd really love for Darren, who's seen the movie in both directions, just to put in the chat. Did it make a difference on your viewing experience by watching this in black and white versus watching it in color? Um,
Mhm.
let us know that. We would highly appreciate it because we'd love to share that with everyone. And no, carrier pigeon is not an option at this time.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, our my 55-pound dog would try to eat
Yeah,
it.
and I
Yeah,
have a cat that would love to try to catch it.
yeah.
So,
So unless that unladen swallow is carrying the letter inside a coconut, the answer to that question is no.
right.
So, and if it is, great. Um,
Neat.
so so we had a movie with the cast in this film. I forgot how many people are in this that are like, oh my god, I love that guy, or oh my god, I love that lady.
If you're
Thomas
a
Jane.
if you're a Walking Dead fan, you'll have a field day in this movie.
Oh,
Several
absolutely.
characters, Greg Nicotero doing the makeup and effects. Mr. Darabont, the writer screenwriter, was also the guy in charge of season 1 of The Walking Dead. There's been a bunch of other things too, but definitely, um, yeah, definitely a lot of cool people that you'd be like, oh,
Yeah, I love. Uh, I can't remember. Hopefully, I'm saying Andre Brower. He played the attorney
oh yeah,
Norton, the neighbor
yep,
and attorney.
you got it.
He is so he is so good at playing that stern
Oh
um,
yeah,
person, even even when he's doing it at his own comedic factor.
right.
He's on that New Jersey police
Mm,
show
yeah, who's on that medical show?
well, he's on that as the captain, and he's so funny. Oh,
Yeah.
he is so funny. Um, Laurie Holden, as you had said, and of course, my Thomas Jane. He is my, Punisher,
Yeah,
up until the TV show, right?
right.
Then I had to switch, but up until then, he was my Punisher.
Absolutely.
Um, and it says that, Darren says that, in HD, it was odd, but it definitely was better in black and white.
Mhm.
Well, Chris, would you like to kinda explain to everyone
Ye
why we feel that is the way to watch this?
yeah, this was, the director, creator, Stephen Frank Darabont, had planned. He wanted to make this in black and white. It was set up to be black and white. He felt that was adding to the story. So, it's not bringing the effects to life as much as it's bringing the overall feeling of isolation and terror, and, the studio was like, "No, screw your art. Put it in color, and,
Mhm.
otherwise we're not releasing it." But apparently he is a miser when it comes to budgeting for movies, to where they wanted to give him more money to do something, and he's kind of like, don't need it.
No, no, and the reason being is because when he was trying to do it in black and white, he understood that the special effects, the way they were going to use them, was going to be very much in reminiscence of, 1950s, early 60s style science
Right.
fiction horror, which is what he was going for, which is also why some of the dialogue between the people, especially when it was overly intense later in the movie, and they're
Mhm.
in trapped in the grocery store, was the way it was because he was trying to get you to have that same isolation feeling as you're talking about that we got by watching movies like The Thing.
Mhm.
And I'm going to tell you this: uh, there was a section in this movie where the filming, they're going in and out of the fog,
Right.
that where it's like, or in the mist, I should say,
In
and
the
you see
midst.
them walking away from you, and the next shot they're walking towards you, and it's so disorienting.
Yeah.
and it kind of brings you into what they
Yeah,
must
it
feel
gives you
like.
that vertigo on what's up and down, and you're somewhere where you're not supposed to be.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and in color, true. Darren brings up a point. It borderlines on that grindhouse, where we're just gonna keep feeding them to the guy cranking them out, and
Yeah.
who's
Yep.
next?
Yep. Yep. Ubaldo in black and white makes the movie like the Monster Universe
Yeah,
feel. Yep, I could
like
see that.
like a
Absolutely.
universal almost,
Which is
where
kind of the feel that they were going for,
yeah.
the late Universal feel when they were still when they were starting to reach out into that sci-fi era,
Hmm.
if you will. So let's talk about this one, Chris. If you were going to give this movie an overall rating on a scale from 1 to 10, one being a miserable dredge that I cannot believe I had to watch, and I'm really, really mad that I had to spend an hour and a half of my life doing
Right.
it. 10 being it transcends the genre, and 5 meaning it hits all the marks. Not a bad movie at all.
Mhm.
Where would you put this and why?
This one's hard, because what it was intended to be, some of the acting is clunky because in that black and white setting, it makes sense. It's very like generic. They're just regular people in here,
Hmm.
so the acting comes off a little clunky sometimes, with that feel.
Hmm.
But as far as being able to put Stephen King to film, he gets it, man. He really gets it.
He
And
really
in
does.
fact, King came back and was like, "Your ending was better."
Yeah.
It's and his end and the ending was just to your happy endings. That Hollywood always pushes, where everything resolves and everything will be fine and it works out. And this is like, not for you, buddy. Maybe for others.
Yeah.
Um, all the people you cared about in this movie, no.
Oh, we'll get to the ending, but
Yeah,
man, if you happen to see the short that I created for this one, I know that Chris did, but as far as the chat room is concerned, I mentioned that the ending of this movie kicks you right in the
every time.
soft spot. It does. I mean, it's but we'll get there. We'll get there.
So I,
Uh,
I think as far as a rating goes, I'm gonna give it a solid 8.5. It could push to those higher numbers.
hmm.
In black and white, I'd probably give it another half a point just
Yeah.
because it's how it was intended. So I give it a solid 8.5. Good movie.
I think that this is, in my opinion, and there's still one out Stephen King adaptation that Thomas Jane stars in that I have not seen yet, so I'm not going to comment on that. But as of yet, I think this is my favorite Thomas Jane movie as far as his acting in this movie. I think is the most believable I've seen him.
Oh yeah.
Um, Marcia Gay Harden, who played Miss Carmody,
Mhm.
she was
Oh, she killed it.
wonderful in that psycho
She killed it from the
religious role.
beginning.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, so believable.
Yep. Absolutely, absolutely. To be honest with you, I'm not a big Laurie Holden fan. Uh,
Yeah.
I see her in one thing, and I'm like, oh, she's really good. And I see her in other things, I'm like, meh. In this one, she was good. She
Yeah.
wasn't great, but she was good. And the only other actor that I really want to comment on, as far as calling him out for his acting role, um, well, actually, two people. Let me rephrase that. Melissa McBride, who played the woman who had to leave to get her
Yep.
kids,
The mother.
the mother. She was another one that was in Walking Dead. She was fantastic in that role. It was a
Mm.
short role, very short,
Very quick.
but she was able to pull you into her feeling of dread and remorse for her children, and that I was just like, wow, so
Yeah.
well done. I'm glad. I was also glad to see that that she survived in
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Nathan Campbell, the little boy that played Billy, I'm not a big kid actor guy, but he
Right.
was good. He did just what he needed to, and he didn't do what he didn't. So
Solid performance of being
yeah,
a kid that's afraid of everything that's
yes.
going on right now.
Which he would be, and he should be. So
Realistic.
I will say this: as far as the acting is going, I'm giving this movie a higher rating than most people would because they did great with a script that was written to purposely be clunky in places,
Yeah.
and the special effects did not age well. but there were some special effects that aged greatly. And when I say that is the only thing that I told Chris about this whole show in our pre warm up as we were talking about life in general, getting ready for the show, was I'd forgotten how much the pharmacy scene affected me personally. I'm not the kind of guy who's going to cringe, whatever. I don't do well with bugs, especially large, fast moving ones.
Right.
So when I saw those spiders come out of there, I was literally doing this and looking between my fingers and doing the whole shiver and
Mr.
all that
Oh,
stuff.
hell no.
Oh yeah, I was literally I'm watching that scene and in my head I'm going, that's my personal hell. That is my own personal hell, right? I'm just thinking about it, just cool.
It's creepy
Anywho,
crawly time.
so with that, I'm with you. This is a good solid 8.5, 9 for me. Absolutely. I would tell anyone, anytime, anywhere, you must watch this movie. And especially if you're a Stephen King fan or a horror fan in general, there's a lot here going on. Yes, Tina, you're correct. Large ass fucking spiders give me the shivers, almost as bad as
Gap a gap is closer to the number of spiders.
yeah, yeah. When they busted out, oh my god.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Who recommended this movie anyway?
Yeah, you did.
You're right, I
did it
did.
to
I
yourself.
did it to myself. All right, so let's. I'm going to tell you a little bit about something that happened in my life. I don't know if I've shared this story with you yet or not. I'm not a full arachnophobic. That's not, but I'm borderline. I don't like them. I
Mhm.
don't like them at all. They give me the creeps. I can't stand it. And my youngest son, Cody, who I used to love to watch movies with, he was my kung fu guy. He'd like, let's watch all three of the Once Upon a Time in China series, whatever. And so it was his birthday, and I said, "Well, what do you want to watch for your birthday?" And he grinned from ear to ear, and he said, "Arachnophobia."
Ooh, good movie.
Yeah.
Great movie to scare somebody who hates spiders.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Now, wait a minute, wait a minute. There was another one too. I can't remember if it was Arachnophobia or if it was the one where
Eight-legged freaks.
Eight-Legged Freaks. That's what it was. It was Eight-Legged
Yeah,
Freaks. And
yeah.
when the jumping wolf spiders were pulling the people off of the
Yes,
motorcycles,
dude. Oh,
I'm
jumping through
literally
the
going,
air.
and I'm doing this. And oh my god, oh my god! And my son, who I think at the time he was 9, is laughing his ass off at me. And I was like, I can't believe you do this to your dad.
Yes.
He just thought it was the greatest thing
Other
ever.
good one to watch is Infested. It's a French movie.
No,
Oh, yeah, that's a
no.
good one.
Okay, hold on a minute. Are you ready? No.
La no.
Yeah, it's in French. La no. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
So we're both in that 8.5 to 9 range. And so let's talk a little bit about the movie. Let's talk about what put us where we are in the ratings.
Yeah.
This one started out uh I
I will
love
laugh. I will
I
laugh, Gap. It's hilarious.
you guys, why do I like my Talking Dead so much? Why?
They
So,
torture you. That's hilarious for me.
yeah,
I
well,
love them.
it's because they all know that it's all in good fun, right? Um, so here's my statement here. I don't even know where I'm going now. Oh, when this movie started, the very beginning of it, when our lead character David is painting,
Mm.
I had forgotten about that. Um,
Big,
and
big
and
important hint at what you're going to see next.
oh, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you right now, the painting he was working on, which was the Dark Tower,
Hmm.
Roland and the Rose.
Yep.
I was looking at that, going, I want that.
Yeah, right?
I was like, I would frame that and I would put
So,
that right
it'd
here
go right up on the
in my
wall. Yeah.
it'd be
So
right
right
there
up
where you
here.
could see it, you know. Oh, it was so
Wild.
good. But I don't know if you noticed, there was a bunch of different King movies there, right?
Yep.
Did you see the one? It was a real quick glimpse. It was on the far right. The only time you see it is when the tree comes through the window.
I don't know if I caught it or not.
if you get a chance, watch the very beginning of it because
Yeah.
that again, and look for it. It's a little boy wearing a paper hat like a boat,
Oh,
holding
yeah, dude.
holding a red balloon.
Yeah.
It is so cool.
Which is funny because all of that
Yep.
shown in the beginning of the movie is Frank Darabont saying, "I'm taking Stephen King to another level to include the to dash space, maybe some thinnies, um, which if you've read The Dark Tower, you know what I'm meaning.
Mhm.
To dash is basically the void between worlds where monsters exist,
Yes.
and people go there to die, and it's possible that the Arrowhead project, which we hear of, going on in a military installation, kind of Stranger Things esque,
Yes.
creating maybe a portal, a thinny between worlds, opening up to the to dash space to come into our world, basically releasing monsters from another dimension.
And
And it's
I
all connected through King's works, and he's got
yes.
them on the wall there.
Yeah,
It's great.
yes, really cool. And if you have read the Dark Tower series, you're looking at these paintings and going, okay, they're all linked in one way
All
or
of them.
another through
Yeah.
the
Through the
telling
Dark
of the Dark
Tower. I mean,
Tower.
the Dark Tower is like the opus of so many of these books.
Yep.
It's come from there. I have notes. I was jotting down many notes on this one because I'm like, yeah,
Oh, everyone
mature,
sit back. He's
yeah,
getting ready to bring the
Maturin,
knowledge.
the turtle in Hindu, basically Hindu beliefs that carries the earth upon its back. He's basically in the Dark Tower series. He shows up in a couple of other Stephen King works. There are all these links to this, the other worlds, the beams that hold the universes together, the thinnies that open up as sores or cancers that open up to other worlds, other dimensions. Um, yeah, it's so wild that they hit you with that in the beginning,
Yeah,
and
it's I think
something to
literally
appreciate.
it's nothing more than a nod to to those of
Oh,
us who
absolutely.
are Stephen King fans, right? Because
Yeah,
we see those things and we're like, oh, thank you, you know.
yeah,
But I'm telling you, the artwork in that poster with Roland in the middle and then the rose on the side and the tower in the background, I was like,
yes,
I want that so
right.
bad. And then when it got ruined and he just threw it in the pile, I was like, "Give
Yeah,
it. I'll take it.
yeah.
I'll take it."
uh, s-
Oh my gosh.
it's
So
what this movie is great because it gives you the feeling, and we've seen this. We've lived through one of these, the pandemic going
yes.
on, where everything shut down, and how quick we were running out of and fighting each other for toilet paper. Um, so
I which I never understood.
no, I mean, okay. But we've seen that part how society can break down in ways like supply chains break down, how quick people turn a little ridiculous, like all of a sudden everybody saw people stocking up on toilet paper, so they all stocked up on toilet paper, and we come into a toilet paper shortage because yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's how quick society can break down in an extreme event, and it's maybe not the monsters out there or what you're worried about or we should be worried about. It's the
Yeah.
monsters inside all of us and what they do during these times.
So I don't know if you had a chance to before we went on to read the description as I put it on here on
Mm.
YouTube for everybody. Stephen King's The Mist. Terrors come to a small town when an otherworldly mist settles in. But are the true monsters in the mist, or were they already amongst us? And
Right.
this is really the question that you get because at one point they're all like talking about whether they want to try to move on or they want to try to stay there and survive there and because of the events that are going on, he's literally like, how there's a religious zealot who is using this moment, which is funny if you watch it and pay attention. This is the first time that she's ever had been able to have anyone's attention.
Yeah, she's the nobody that runs the antiquity place that
Hmm.
people go in for these odd things, but she is a religious zealot.
Right. And once she gets them to listen to her, she likes that feeling of power. And then it just feeds and feeds and feeds. But she's they're like, she's got three people with her now. She'll have six or whatever number it
And
was.
they were right.
But
It's exponential
yeah,
when
by tomorrow, and then by the following day, they'll all be on her side. Do you want to be here for that? And
yeah.
one of the girls is like, no, uh, uh, of course,
That's not gonna
no,
happen.
that's
Oh,
not going to
come
happen. Blah blah
on.
blah. And then that you start to see it, and you're like, oh shit, oh,
Yeah.
this is not going to be good
Because
for anybody.
they see these bad things and this woman screaming, claiming, well, listen, you can see things in everyday life that are in the Bible, that you can call upon a verse from the Bible and say,
Yes.
this is God showing me a sign. So she's saying things during Revelations, and Revelations is fun to actually, you could take things from everyday life every day
Uh
and
huh.
say, it's Revelations talk about this. Well, it's been talking about it for 2000 years
She also
because eventually we're gonna ruin ourselves. That's
yep.
that's basically the idea of it.
And
That
and she likes to take Revelations and tie it into the Old Testament,
oof,
which is a bad, bad, bad move.
right.
And
She's Bev. She's freaking Bev.
she's Bev to the nth power, right?
Yeah.
So everybody who's watched our Tuesday's terrors covering of Midnight Mass understands exactly what we
Yeah.
just mean.
Religious
Uh,
Karens are now Bevs.
yeah, no doubt. And um, God, I hated her. But man, just like Bev, did she not sell that role? She
Mm,
absolutely did. So, yeah, I've already talked about the pharmacy scene. I think that's the big one for me, the one that truly scared me. But
right.
I think where they succeeded in this movie was building the tension slowly, and showing the mass hysteria, right?
Hmm.
Where the like when the bugs are attacking the glass at night,
Right.
right? And of course, immediately as the viewer, you're going, they're bugs. They're attracted to your lights. Turn
Yeah,
your
what are
lights
you
off, right?
turning them all on for, you
And then
dummies?
yeah, and then they're turning them all on, and you're like, "What are you doing?" Because one person's this is the mass thing, right? One person yelled, "Turn your lights off." They're attracted to the lights, and someone else is in the back going, "Turn them on. We gotta see." And they basically doom themselves because of that,
Right. Oh yeah.
right? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, that's the way that they um the way that they showed that um um the way they showed that everybody's, kind of like crazy, nuts, whatever. Um they did a fantastic job with that. They really did.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
I'll mention it, Darren. Ollie's character, Toby Jones plays.
yes,
He's
great.
the meek, older bag boy that everybody kind of shuts down, and how he steps into a role to be one of the heroes. That it was he had a great character arc.
Really did.
Up until the very end when the arachnolobster, I think they call it, took him way up into the sky and nom, 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 and he dropped the
And nummy,
gun.
nummy, 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 num.
Yep.
It was funny because at first when I saw the shadow, I thought, "Is that like a huge praying mantis? What is that?"
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be grabbed by it.
No,
No.
no.
Yeah, Mrs. Carmody. It's that uneasy feeling I get from the religious side where people can turn it and use someone's beliefs to um change who they really are, or
Yes.
make who they really are come out. You could take it either way, but it always makes me feel uncomfortable because it's preying on something that so many have inside them. It's very
Mhm.
personal to them, and
Yep.
it's literally taking it and how that they can just sit there and say, well, I'm doing God's work. I
Mhm.
mean, no, you just fed a dude to a giant
Oh,
monster.
and I love the fact that she's preaching about the sins of the people around her, which are the exact same things that she's doing at that same moment, and
It's
everyone and they're all buying it.
And it's great because in the end, finally, Ollie's like, I've had enough of this bitch's shit. And
Yep.
shoots her as she's calling for the boy to be sacrificed.
Yes,
Bring
and
us the boy and the whore. Because in the story, Amanda's character had an affair with Mr. Dayton. And somehow Mrs. Carmody figured that out. So that's like a whole story they don't go into. But
right.
they still bring her in like she's got to die and the kid's got to die, and Ollie's like nah, and shoots her. And what's the first thing somebody on her side says? You murdered her.
Yeah, which they
You
were getting
guys were
ready to
just gonna stab a kid.
yeah, and throw him out to the monsters, you know?
What is
Um,
wow.
uh,
So
uh,
that's a great thing for me in horror movies because it's an uncomfortable feeling for me. It bothers me personally because I don't have really like set strong beliefs. I'm very open in my, my spiritual side. And but to see somebody use somebody else's spirituality almost
yeah,
against them is it's great for an uneasy feeling in a horror movie.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. One other thing I wanna bring up, as well is the, first real death that we see, Norm, the bag boy.
Yeah. The
When he's
Shermanator, if you
yeah,
follow your actors.
thank you. He is one of those guys that in every movie I see him in, I'm like, whatever."
He's the
Here
Shermanator. You're
he's
always
the
gonna be the
Shermanator.
Shermanator. He's like a
Exactly.
40-something-year-old Shermanator right now.
Yep, it's so funny. But when the tentacles are again the CGI is not great. The when they use practical, the practical works well. The CGI is not so much, but that's just the era it's in.
Yeah.
Um, but when right before he's going outside, right, and he's going out for good reason, right?
Yeah, they
They're
gotta
trying to
unblock the exhaust of the generator.
right, which is a good reason to try to help everyone and blah blah.
Yes.
And and all he's really wanting to do is he's like, I'm wanting to be something more than just a bag boy to these
Yeah,
people.
I'll
I mean,
do
he's
it.
yeah, I'll
I'll
do it.
do it. That male
I can do
bravado,
this. I can do this. But less than 5 minutes ago, they all saw the guy run out to his car and then heard him scream. You don't see anything; it's off
Nope.
screen, but you hear the scream and how bad it's all, and then they're going, "Oh yeah, it's up there. There's nothing going on."
No.
That was the only scene in the whole movie that made me go, "I don't know about that,"
And it
but
bothered me when he comes back and Mr. Norton is like, "I'm not buying into your joke. This isn't funny." And it's like,
yeah,
"What the fuck you?"
yeah, but I also kind of get it because he had personal
Yeah,
issues,
there's some personal things going on there
so
that
he thought, why, and let's face it, this has been a contention with a lot of people in this movie with how he just wouldn't listen, he wouldn't do it. If we were in a Holocaust type situation, if we were in a apocalyptic world ending type situation, there would people who would cling on to normalcy as we know it today with
yeah.
everything they've got because they mentally can't accept anything
No,
else.
no,
So
especially societal breakdown, especially like there
yep,
is no help, there's
yep,
always help.
yep. So I was really I was personally moved. I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. I buy it. He's got issues with this guy for one. For two, he just does it. He's he is he's an attorney, so he's got a certain mindset, and he's
Mhm.
like, you're not going to sway me to believe all this when when my mind tells me it's not true.
Yeah, and
Um,
everybody treats him like, "Oh, he's gonna be on the bench one day, like, you're gonna have
yeah,
to worry about him because he's gonna be in your life."
yep, and so it's I thought it was a pretty good play on his part to be that way. I thought the death of I think her name was Sally, if I'm not mistaken, the cashier.
Oh,
I thought that was a horrible death.
oof.
You know,
My
basically,
life for an EpiPen.
no doubt, and it looked like she would need more than one.
Yeah, probably 6 to 8 to start.
Yeah. So yeah, there was some pretty good special effects on that aspect as far as that's concerned. I thought the deaths were well done.
Mhm.
Um, as I s-
Shermanator goes out terribly. You
oh, he
feel
does.
the build up there is great because, you know, our hero here, David, is like, you know, I just told you there's some crazy shit sounds out there. Like, don't go out there. And the two goofballs, Jim and I forget his damn name again.
Myron.
Myron, yeah.
Yeah,
They're like, yeah, let's do this, and it's pumping up. Like you just want to do this. You're scared of cat, and blah 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 blah. And David and Ollie are in the back, like, what the? These guys are nuts.
yeah,
And I love Shermanator, like leans down as the door opens, and he's like, pussy. And the next thing you know, these tentacles come out and grab him and start ripping patches off of him.
yeah.
Um,
And the whole time, when it's done, Jim's what's Jim doing? He's like, "Oh, I didn't know.
and
I'm
it's and it's
sorry."
and it's the guy saying, "Don't go out there. I'm not going out there." And Ollie that are like, in the end, they're trying to save Norman. They're trying to pull him back. They've
Uh-huh.
got everything, and the two guys that were over there saying he's not a real man are cowering in a
Yep.
corner.
Yep. Yep.
And that's what you're dealing with. You have people that come out and all talk, and it's time. Like they could have saved Norman. Instead, poor David's covered in Norman's blood.
Yeah. And I will say this, William Sadler, who played Jim, he's one of those guys that as soon as you see him, you're like, "Hey, that's
Yeah,
like we always say, that's the guy
he's
who was in the
yes,
in that thing with him."
yes, he was. He was in all those things.
So yeah, again, for such a movie that was shunned by so many people for so long, this movie's actually really really good if you give it a chance. So
It is.
um um you got to overlook some things again because the CGI doesn't age well,
Uh,
but overall,
like the gray widows that are running around, those are the spiders. They're great.
yeah,
I will give the special effects for those spiders cool. They had this weird mouth that
yeah,
looks like a human jaw and teeth,
yes.
and it shoots these webs at you that
I
literally dissolve your skin and
I
clothes.
I did think the webbing was so cool. I was like, that's a great touch.
Yeah, I really like them. The flying things was just one of those like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
You have lights, and all these huge bugs are landing on the window. First thing I would have been like, turn the lights off, dude. We're getting giant bugs.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
they're all like, no, let's turn them all on and make the whole place. Oh, let's get them with fire on a mop head. You know those things that flip right off the freaking uh, the wooden
and
handle you're using because you do that so you don't have to touch the nasty mop head.
excuse me, Mr. Store Manager, do you have bug zappers that you sell here?
We want big ones. We'll cut the plastic out of them so they can just fly right into the
Yeah.
directly shock themselves.
And then maybe like Raid. Do you have Raid?
Yeah, lots cases. The 2 packs we'll start with. Yeah, and then the things that eat those things, and then
Yeah.
while we're trying to get these things with fire, somebody kicked over the bucket full of gas and hit it with the fire.
On
So now the place is
themselves.
on fire. Now he's on fire.
And it killed me because when I'm watching this and literally when they go, "Where's the fire extinguishers?" I'm thinking to myself, "All right, if I had set this plan in motion, I would
First
have
thing,
said
dude.
okay, fire extinguisher at each station, so
Listen,
that."
even if you're going with safety third, you know, you still
Yes,
get the fire extinguisher.
absolutely, absolutely. I have to say this one more time. I really do. If you happen to be watching this or listening to this, I should say, at one of your favorite streaming platforms, at some point, you really should stop in to our chat because Thursday and Tuesday nights, but Thursday nights when we're doing this live, our chat room right now, there's stuff going on there that every time I see something, it makes me laugh so hard. I
Yes.
love our Talking Dead. Come and be a part of the family. There's no charge to show up and be a
No,
member of
just
the
hit the
Talking
sub
Dead.
button. Say hi.
Just hit the sub button and say hello. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that being said, God,
Beep beep.
man,
LG. Beep beep.
yeah, I just love it. Uh,
This is
uh,
great. Like this movie really hits for me because of the connections that you can make to other King
yep,
works. The
yep.
connection to it, where he probably comes from one of those Tadash spaces. The links to the Dark Tower are just they're
Everywhere,
outrageous.
everywhere.
They're to link all of these things. The town they're in is in books 6 and 7 of the Dark
Mhm.
Tower series. So
Yep,
it's all of these connections that are it is it's like the upside down kind of thing where this is somewhere in time, and then this is the same place in another time where this is we opened up a door to we don't know where and things came through and sorry as the MP falls and becomes 100 billion spiders. Um, yeah, I love those marks that it hits.
I'm with you.
Dark
I'm with
Tower
you.
series is one of my favorite series to read. I have a couple, but this one was it had me hooked. I really love the world building. So
Yep. And I will say this also. Um, all right, all right, all right. I've never watched that, and I don't ever plan to. Um,
not terrible,
I really.
not terrible.
All right, then I might watch it. All right.
I really like Idris Elba, so it's one
Yeah.
of
Oh, I
those
do too.
things
I
where
do
like,
too.
ooh, yeah, he's a cool.
So if I can, while we're on the Dark Tower subject, one of my favorite things that happened is when um, the preacher, Donald Callahan,
Hmm.
Father Callahan,
Yeah,
from Salem's Lot, made an appearance in the Dark
yeah,
Tower series. That made me very, very happy.
uh,
It made me
definitely.
very, very happy.
It's
Uh,
great when they can link these stories that you love, and you know, King does a great job of creating, not only just this place in Maine or these places in Maine, but entire worlds that are connected to them, entire
yep,
dimensions that are connected
yep,
to them.
I
So
agree.
that's
And
what made
and
this movie so much fun. Is you can see these little things that are like, ooh, that's we're dealing with. An extension from like the stand is an extension
yep,
of the Dark Tower. This is an extension of the Dark Tower.
yep,
So
yep. And
those are
and
fun.
it's amazing to me that someone who can write I don't even want to guess how many stories Stephen King has written, and almost all of them have some tie to the Dark Tower in some way.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing, and I love it. I'm really looking forward to Flanagan's interpretation. And if everyone in the chat doesn't know, Mike Flanagan is one of my favorite horror directors at the moment. And the fact that
Mhm.
he's getting ready to tackle the Dark Tower makes me very, very happy. Um,
Very intrigued.
very intrigued. So I think at this point in time we have talked about the Mist because we as much as we can because we're now talking about the Dark Tower series. So
Yeah.
what do you say we make a decision on where we're going to put this one on our shit list, sir?
This one's gonna be hard. It feels like a top 10, but it's not.
Yes. No.
Um,
No.
it feels like it though, and it's in. I think this interpretation of a Stephen King work is excellent.
Yes.
This guy also did the Shawshank Redemption. He did the Green Mile.
Both of which
He
were
gets King
phenomenal.
like they're great to screen. So feels like a top 10, definitely outside the top 10. So
Okay, so let's do this. Let's look at 20.
mhm,
Okay, so really simple. Our shit list is okay. So our shit list initially was intended to be. It doesn't really matter how great the movie is or not is how rewatchable it is, and then uh, Zombieverse happened and everything fell off the shelf. So that's the reason it's the shit list. So, um, would you put this movie above They Live? That's kind of where I continue to go because that one has a special place in both of our hearts.
yeah, hard to do. If you were to come at me with Darabont's Shawshank Redemption, who that would be hard to put on a list.
No, Shawshank Redemption. We'd be talking about whether or not we're going to be putting it in front of or behind the thing. I mean, it's
Right. It's right there. This great interpretation, not there. So it's definitely under Train to Busan. I would put it under They Live, um, because it's our shit list. It's sometimes hilarious, intentionally tasteless, which there to goof you off. We just shitted it up at some point by moving Zombievers lower than it should have been.
Yep.
We might have given or not given Sharknado a good rating. There's a lot of things that happened.
I'm thinking that this one either goes. I think this one goes. It goes right. Mm. It's either below. It's either in 17 or 18. It's one of the two.
I'd go below Brightburn, only because the effects and how Brightburn was shot. I think it's spookier, only because I mean we can go back in the storyline as far as people trapped in a place they're familiar with. Could be if we could find some sort of acronym, we could work that in. Maybe a change.
I like it because it's true. Okay, so Gap, Chris and I've had personal discussions on this, and that's exactly what we said. We said, there's going to be people who are going to be going, "Are you guys out of your mind? What the fuck were you
Yes,
thinking?"
of course we are. Look, there's so many classic movies out there, and we chose to rate stuff like Witch and Wolf Cop. So yes, are you effing kidding me? It's I would put it below Brightburn.
Okay.
I really just like Brightburn. So I squeak it in the top 20 because I think it deserves it.
So my question, I guess, then becomes to Gap is he said, what the hell is Brightburn doing there? Where should Brightburn have been? In his opinion,
No, we're not moving Sharknado.
no.
What the France?
uh,
What the French is going on here?
see. But here, as I'm going through the list, I'm going
Yeah,
like
as you
this.
go through the list, you're like,
This
wow, he shitted this all up. But
no, I'm thinking that this movie to me is about on equal playing ground with Odd Thomas.
okay. I started outside the top 20, so um yeah, it's right on par with that one. I think it's about the same when you look at oh shit, it's Coons and King. They
Hmm.
are
Yeah.
parallel in so many universes.
All
So
right. So here's where I get to be a dick.
oh,
Um, Gap says Brightburn should be at the bottom. No, if you've ever seen The Witch, you know why it's at the bottom.
yeah, don't pay to watch that.
Let's put it right here or here. You tell me.
23.
Bam, right there, right in front of
23.
Prince of Darkness.
That
All
works
right.
for me.
Now
I
I
think
know
that's a
that.
solid rating on the shit list. That's like a real rating. Don't scroll up or down. We're pretty good right there.
Okay, this list is giving me heartburn, and I only have one heart. Not like Alan. Apparently, I have two hearts.
You're the
I don't know.
doctor. You're
I
the
don't know what
doctor.
that means, but okay.
You got a TARDIS in your backyard or something.
Yeah, something like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock it in
It's locked.
now. All right. So we have put The Mist at 23. I love it.
It's
I love it.
fun. It's fun because you should see us off screen when we open it up and we're like, what the
What the hell did we do? I literally from time to time I'll go,
we said we can't move
we
things.
said we can't move it around, but man, I'd love to go ahead and redo this list. Maybe we'll do like a secondary list just for shit and giggles one day where we'll do a show live and we'll get everyone to
Get
come in.
everybody in we can and we'll do a real list for the fans.
Yeah, and then once it's done, we'll delete it and
Right.
stay where we're at.
We'll place it all in here and say this doesn't matter.
This doesn't count anymore. But I'm glad
Right.
you feel. I'm glad you
Sorry.
feel good.
Just get it
Um,
all out.
and listen, we're not smoking gravestones, okay? But if you chip some off and grind it up, you can snort it. Just so you know.
Oh, right.
Oh my God, I love our chat room. I really do. Um, God. Ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor, please. Go down here into the bottom. leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about the Mist. Let us know what you think about our shit list. Let us know what you think about us, good, bad, or indifferent. We want those comments because they help us get better for you. So please don't forget to hit the like button. If you haven't subbed already, hit the sub button. If you're listening to this, it would really help us out tremendously if you go back over to YouTube and hit that sub button. Once we get to 250, I've got some really cool stuff back here that I'm going to be giving away. Over this
Oh,
shoulder back here and over this shoulder back here, there's going to be some stuff that's given away out of those stacks. So
yep.
please let someone know, spread the news, spread the love, tell them that we're actually good people, even though our taste
Yeah,
in
lie,
movies is not the
lie
greatest.
for us.
Yes, please. You never know. There might be $1 or 2 in it for you. I can't promise that, but you know. Chris, is there anything you'd like to say to the crowd before we sign off tonight?
No, we're gonna have fun this month with King-Tember. September 21st being Stephen King's birthday. We decided all of September it will be King-Tember. So we're gonna hit some of the movies, film that he has been adapted to screen for. I think we got a couple picks in there that we'll like. So you'll see them announced, and you can see them on Thursdays live with us. Tuesdays we're kicking around. This coming Tuesday we'll probably be guesting on Wrestling with Horror with ETEP. It's going to be fun. We love hanging out with those guys over there, and
And we're going to
we're going to
try
be
to simulcast it on our channel as well, so that way you guys can watch it with us or with
yep.
them. Either way, you
Tuesday
will like.
Terrors with us and Terror Tuesday for him. We'll all be collaborating on 2013's Evil Dead. You can watch that on Max. Fun movie. We'll be talking about that. And yeah, we went through bio.link/graverev. This gives you I love the fact that I'm a moderator and it's like, you want to post this? Yeah, Gap, pull my finger off.
I will say this, um, Gap. Too bad Salem's Lot is a TV show. Also, we might want to cover that one on one of our Tuesday shows because I'm gonna tell you right now, Salem's Lot is one of the movies that brought me into the horror fandom as a whole.
Nice. Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely
We'll talk
something.
about that at some point. That's a good, yeah. Nice. Um but yes, come check us out on live on Thursdays and shit on our list of shit. Um Yeah, and come check us out on Tuesdays. Like I said, Wrestling with Horror next week. We might go back to recorded ones, we might stay live, whatever works for work, because we can't sadly do this all the time.
Yeah, if we were able to make enough money on it so that Chris and I could do this all the time, we would literally
I'd watch horror movies all day and we talk to you guys.
every day if we could. And I will say this also, and I'm sure that Chris will back me up on this. Um, Adulting sucks as a whole. And Chris and I are both of the opinion that us getting together here to talk horror movies with you, our Talking Dead, it's one of the highlights of our week. It really does help us get through the hard times. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Chris, for being a part of this with me, for accepting the challenge of keeping me from losing my mind by talking to me about something that I love.
You can lose your mind. It's cool. We can do that too.
When you go to replace it, remember Abby Normal
Abby normal.
is not a name of a person, but a state of mind. Okay. Um,
Right.
uh, that's all included. Gap is, Gap says that we're awesome despite our shit list, and that's just part of who we are. So that's part of us. That's who we are.
Yes.
So as Chris would always say, as we get ready to sign off.
Stay spooky out there, friends.
Yes, and as I would always say to you, ladies and gentlemen, until we meet again. Oh, and by the way, at this point, we are taking off next Thursday for adulting.
Yes.
But after that, we will be back with more King-Tember. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, until we meet again, hopefully you'll stop by Tuesday and see us. May all your nightmares be groovy. Have a great night, everybody.